6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
International superstar, Miss Mother B. Rocker!
You are now tuned in to Butter B Rocker on Transparency Talks Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Transparency Talks Podcast. Listen, we have an amazing show for you today. We have Miss Toyin Ajayi on, and let me make sure that I said her name right. I swear I was really trying, and I pray that I did. But she is the founder of Outdoorsy Black Women and Your Life After 25. Can you please say hello?
Hi, everybody. I know it's okay. It's Toyin Ajayi.
No, it's not right. Okay.
Well, you know what? I figured we would get there, and you tried. You really did. So Toyin Ajayi.
I really did. I had it. I had it.
I know you were there, but thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of the show. So I want to dive right on in and a little bit about your background.
Okay. Let's talk. So okay. The background, I guess just a bit about me. Again, my name is Toyin Ajayi. My full first name is Oluwatoyin, which is half Nigerian. Which is Nigerian. So I'm half Nigerian, half Ghanaian. I was born in London, England, and raised in Atlanta. So I am a multicultural peach. That's what I tell people. I started blogging in 2007. So I'm an OG blogger. That's what I like to tell people. Back before they called us influencers, when brands didn't know what to do with us. And then I launched Your Life After 25, which is a women's lifestyle blogazine in 2011. And that was always like, I think when I was 17, I wanted to run a women's magazine. And I wanted to start an online magazine for women. So I feel like most people don't always get to do what they want to do. Like they say they want to do when they're a kid, but I'm actually getting to do that. And I feel really blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah. And that's awesome.
Yeah. So, it's kind of a thing. And then, of course, we have Outdoorsy Black Women, which is a social network for Black women. I know a lot of people don't really consider themselves to be outdoorsy, but I'm here to tell y'all, you guys are probably outdoorsy. Like, I talk to Black women and they're like, I'm not that outdoorsy. Then I said, do you go to the beach? Do you garden? We go to cookouts. Most of our cookouts and family reunions are outside. So if you do all of those things, you are an outdoorsy Black person and an outdoorsy Black woman.
Okay. Well, you just gave them the whole cake, but we're gonna dive in and taste some.
We got more. That's just a little snippet. We got more.
Okay. So your family is from Nigerian and Ghanaian.
Ghana. Yeah, so Nigeria and Ghana.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But you was born in London. So how did you
That's always the question, right? My mother was an entrepreneur also, and she just liked to travel. So eventually it was just kind of like, if you meet most Nigerians and Ghanaians too, but definitely Nigerians, I like to call it like the intercontinental triangle that tends to happen. It's usually like Nigeria, London, America. So there's a lot of us that kind of tend to make that triangular journey. But yeah, my mother just liked to travel. So we ended up here in the United States, and I ended up becoming a honorary Georgia Peach because I rep Georgia and Atlanta all day.
All day from the
long-suffering Falcons fan, love them still, but I got Georgia now and the Braves, so feeling a lot better about myself.
Okay. So your mother came from, you went to London and then you came to Georgia.
We went to, so we came from London. We started initially in New York, and then we
Oh,
ended
okay.
up in Georgia in '95.
Okay. Actually, I came to Georgia in 95.
See, there you go. Look, we've been here long enough to become peaches.
Yeah,
So
we're absolutely peaches at this
we're
point.
definitely peaches. We're
Yeah.
definitely peaches.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mother's actually the Ghanaian side, and my dad is the Nigerian side. I'm the Ghanaian tribe is Fanti, and my Nigerian tribe is Yoruba.
So do you speak language?
I don't speak my languages. I understand both my languages, and I cook the food from both sides, because that usually comes up. It's like, can you throw down? Yes, I
Right,
can.
right.
So I can understand both. I think it's an immersion thing.
Mhm.
I feel like, if I take some time, eventually I would like to establish myself a little bit in like Ghana. I have a family home in Nigeria already, so I think just the immersion, I'll be able to speak it when I'm fully immersed in the language.
Okay, I actually toured singing
Nice.
Nigeria, Ghana, Johannesburg,
Beautiful.
Cape Town, and I was in Addis Ababa for 6 months. So, yeah,
So did you, and you loved it?
I loved it.
It's
That was my
beautiful,
very
right?
first tour. Yes, it was an eye opener. It was totally different from what I had envisioned in my mind and from
Yeah.
what the TV shows us.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and I saw so many beautiful things, and people take pride in their culture,
Yep.
and it was really good. It was really, really good.
I'm happy to hear that. I think sometimes people forget how much of television influences and shapes our views on different places. And that's not just the views that we have of Africa, right? It's kind of it goes both ways. So
Mhm.
like it's a complicated thing that comes up, but I just don't think people realize how much television has influenced a lot of our views. And if we can take time to bridge that gap, it's really important.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, seriously, my eyes were completely open. I was like, when I first got to Addis, I was like, okay, so this is nothing what I saw on TV. Nothing.
Right. Right.
I mean, I saw some of those things too, of course,
Right.
but it was nothing like what I saw. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Okay, so you have this famous nickname that everybody calls you, and I'm trying to figure out why and how did they come up with this for you?
Okay, so if you know me from the blogging world, I go by Davinci. I've been going by Davinci since 2006, and it was a nickname given to me by my sister and like a group of friends. And one day we were all like coming up with names for each other. There was one, the Mona Lisa and Helen of Troy, and then I was given Davinci because they were like, you're always coming up with ideas and innovations, and I'm artistic, and
Yeah.
so they were like, Da Vinci fit who I am, and I rocked with it.
Okay. So do
Yeah.
you still rock with it now? Is that officially dubbed your nickname?
Oh, Da Vinci is like, in terms of blogging, I only went by Da Vinci for so
Okay.
long. Like,
Okay.
um now that I'm trying to step out into just being me a little bit more, letting people get to know Toyin Ajayi, the person behind Da Vinci, um, it's I'll always be Da Vinci, but I'm always Toyin too. So yeah,
Absolutely. You're Toyin first.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. So I feel like, Da Vinci, I love that name. It's very much a part of who I am, but it's, at the end of the day, I'm still Toyin, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So I read on your site
Mhm.
about your mistakes and trials that you had experienced that shaped you to be the woman that you are, including a suicide attempt at age 14,
Mhm.
surviving a rape at age
Yeah.
18,
Mhm.
growing a tumor. I'm assuming surviving a tumor.
Yeah.
Can you explain how those experiences shaped you?
Oof, boy. So, I do think it's really important to talk a lot about mental health, especially as a Black woman.
I do too.
And, you know, m- battling mental health. So, I actually battle depression and anxiety. And it's funny because even with doing this interview, like, I do interviews all the time, right? And people are like, oh, you're so good at them. And you seem like so comfortable. But before every interview, I give myself a pep talk because my anxiety is something that I have to constantly work through. So I'm always happy to talk about it because I know so many of us are struggling with it and battling it silently. So if they can hear about the different ways that I work through it, I'm hoping that that can help the next person. When I was 14, my depression got the best of me, and being that young and impressionable, I just didn't know how to deal with life at that time. So I ended up overdosing, and I ended up in a coma, and
Wow.
they had told my family to basically say their goodbyes at a certain point. Yeah, they were like, we just don't think there's anything we can do for her at this point. And then comes God. So
Right.
and you know, so once I did wake up out of the coma, they
Mhm.
were like, "Oh, this is a miracle. You know, this is good, but she's never going to walk again. She's probably never going to speak again. She's probably never going to walk again."
Right.
And here I am talking, walking, riding horses, doing all these things. So, um, in terms of how that experience shaped me, it just reminded me of how fragile life is and how important it is to do everything that you want to do.
Right.
Experience everything you want to experience. Don't take each day for granted. And I feel like that's kind of led me in the choices I've made with starting Your Life After 25. Your Life After 25 was always about helping women. It was about entertaining, empowering, and educating women.
Mhm.
That's what that brand is about. And those principles continue with Outdoorsy Black Women. It's about, you know, entertaining us, having fun together, empowering us to do things that we that have been deemed not for us, and then, you know, educating us on things that we may not know about. So just coming together in that sisterhood, and that's a lot of what that background and brushed with death, you know, has done for me in terms of um, dealing with sexual assault and surviving that. Oh man, I that's a tough one because, you know, you go through your journey and you kind of have to learn how to not blame everybody for those things, because I've dealt with rape twice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've been, you know, dealt with rape twice, and I've dealt with sexual assault aside from that. And after a while, you start having to think, okay, what am I doing? That's
Mhm.
You go through these are the steps you go through, and then you recognize it's not you. It's there's going to be bad people in the world, and you have to go through the therapy and the healing to get yourself to a place where that is not what defines you as a person.
Mhm.
Um, but I will always be open to talking about my experiences because, again, I if I can help another woman who has dealt with sexual assault and rape, I'm open to doing that.
Yeah.
And then I guess, you know, with the it just feels like so much with the because you did ask about the tumor. So when I was 19, I had a lump in my right breast, and I woke up one day and my breast was 2 sizes bigger.
Mm.
And I was like, I don't know what's happening here. My family, there is history of breast cancer and things like that, and we've had different kinds of cancers that run through the family. So
Mhm.
I wasn't really sure how that was going to go, and I'm very thankful that it was taken care of. It was a fast growing tumor, and they basically said, you know, it ended up being malignant, but I mean, um, benign, benign. But they said that it had because of how fast it was growing, it could have turned into a cancerous tumor. So they kind of gave me the option, which is it's always weird. It's interesting to me how they give you the option. It's like, hey, you could see how it's gonna go or take care of it now, and it got taken care of as soon as possible. So
Wow. Wow. I mean, those are all, you know,
It's a heavy start, I know.
yeah, yeah. But I definitely see how that shaped you, you know, to be able to pick yourself back up after experiencing all of those different types of things. I mean, when you talked about, you know, having a coma and now appreciating life, I went through not a coma, but I did go through a life changing, you know, situation where torn meniscus, torn ACL, dislocated my shoulder, and had to learn how to walk again. 3 months with a walker, 2 months with a cane, fighting my way back 3 times a week, physical therapy. So I definitely understand. You take
Resilience.
you tend to appreciate life because
Mhm.
it's the little things. And my
Yeah.
grandmother had went into a coma, and they said she wasn't going to walk. They said she wasn't going to talk. You know, the whole 9 yards. Now she did not end up walking again. So it's a blessing that you're able to walk and talk and get on that horse and have your outdoorsy
Right.
project. So that's really cool.
And
Okay.
then it's kind of like with what you said, just thinking about that. I think every year that goes by, like I just take it as a gift, and something that really resonated with me and was another reason why I started Your Life After 25 was just thinking about each year as a gained year. Like the
Mhm.
tagline is believe it or not, life does go on, because our society um tends to look at aging as this negative thing,
Yep.
but I don't look at it that way because one, for me, I know each year of life I get is a gift
Mhm.
because I didn't have to be here.
Yeah.
And then watching other people around me who were the same age as me or who passed when they were younger than me, I value life so much because of that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, definitely. So speaking about your blog, Your Life After 25, which I love the concept and everything about it, because you are right. Then and even for me as an artist, I let society tell me. Because I was into I also had a kind of crazy, you know, upbringing. I was in a car accident, had 2 bills on the table, one with Warner Brothers, one with Sony. Ended up getting into this car accident and drinking from a straw for 6 months. When I finally came back out, which was a year later, the deals were no longer on the table. So naturally, I went through a lot of emotional stuff, and the third label that was interested in signing me, I went to them and they're like, well, yeah, you didn't miss the boat. Now here I am, like 19,
yeah.
18 and a half, 19 years old. But at that time they were signing to Britney Spears, which was the 11, 12, and 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
really got into my spirit. Oh my goodness, I'm too old. So I started working a regular job, eventually got married, had kids, the whole white picket fence, you know, go to college, that type of stuff.
Mhm.
And I thought that I was too old to go after my dreams. You
Yeah.
know, I stayed in the background. I started just doing backgrounds for different people, for TLC and other people like that. But I had to finally come to reality with, you know, my life is not over. I'm only 19. I'm only 20. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And you really have to
Exactly.
think about that type of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to mentally, you kind of have to mentally make that shift. And, that's what Your Life After 25 was about and has been about. And there's a lot of women who I've spoken to and they've said, you know what, this was just like the reminder they needed
Mhm.
that, life's not over. Because, I mean, society pushes you should be married by 25 or 30, and if you're not there yet, then what are you doing? But
Right.
there's so many different factors and everybody has a different journey. So, just live your life and be happy as long as you're not hurting people and you're living your purpose and your purpose is making you happy. Do that. Do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So what type of topics do you talk about on Your Life After 25?
Oof, everything, fashion, health, fitness, business, everything. It's lifestyle, so we cover everything. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
travel,
Well, yeah. Okay.
travel.
So you already kind of like took me here. Your mother was an entrepreneur or is an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
So you started your journey as an entrepreneur at 16, which is young.
Well, yeah, I probably started younger than that.
Okay.
I, to be honest with you, okay, so I've always known that I was gonna be an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Like, I wrote my first will, and my aunt still has it. I wrote my first will at 7 years old, and it's in blue crayon. And I was like, I gotta prepare myself, just in case. I was reading about contracts. I was reading about wills. So it's always been in me.
I love it. I love it.
She
All
keeps
right.
it and she laughs about it. She's like, I still have your will.
Yeah, that's cute. That is cute. Okay, so you recently founded Outdoorsy Black Women. Can you tell
Yes.
everyone, you already touched on it a little bit, but
Mhm.
can you tell everybody, a little bit more about what your company is and why you
Mhm.
started it?
I'm excited because I started Outdoorsy Black Women. It is a social network for Black women.
Okay.
Um, and yes, we connect through the outdoors, but there's so much more to Outdoorsy Black Women than just hanging out in the outdoors. We have our book club. Uh, there are going to be different kinds of events coming up. So it's really a space, just a safe space for Black women to come together, to celebrate each other, connect with each other, learn from each other. What I noticed is there were so many different Black women doing all of these dope things. Black
Mhm.
women that are surfing, beekeepers, gardening, all of this stuff. We're camping, we're in RVs, but most of us didn't know where to find each other. And we
Mhm.
were kind of spread out all over the place, not connected. So I wanted to bring us a space where we could all come together and connect with each other and just have fun. Like,
Mhm.
So it's been really fun. For me, I actually moved into my RV last year to go full time. And one of the things I wanted to do was find my community as I was going. So that was one of the influences for starting Outdoorsy Black Women. I
Mhm.
initially started with a group called Black Women Camp, which is on Outdoorsy Black Women now. But it was just kind of wanting to connect with other Black women and having that safe space, because when I decided to go full time, we still had um, 45 in office, and the racial climate for the outdoors was a really scary place.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of us were looking for safe places to go camping and safe places just to enjoy the outdoors. And I recognized that there was a need for that.
Mhm.
So that's what I wanted to bring that space in Outdoorsy Black Women. We highlight Black owned campgrounds in the Black owned business directory, as well as Black owned farms and so much more.
I didn't know that there was Black owned campgrounds. I am just now recently getting acclimated with the Black farms.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
know
we
there was
have we
campground.
have Black owned campgrounds. I'm actually at a Black owned campground right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you also farm?
Not yet. Not yet. My goal would be one day to have my own homestead.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So why do you feel it's important for women to be active and get outdoors?
Well, for one, y'all see my skin glowing, right? No, just kidding.
I do see it. I do see it glowing, Queen.
Well, honestly, when you get a connection with the outdoors, it really is a way to enrich your soul and your spirit and just kind of give you that peace that you don't always get with being in the city, or yeah, like just being in those like in congested city areas. So I think even if you can find a park or your own garden, or sometimes people don't have gardening space, so you have like a patio. If you can create a little piece of outdoors for yourself somewhere and get that peace, it's important. And then in terms of like my mental health, I always found that when I was outside in a garden or close to an ocean, my mental health is at its best.
I understand. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I don't really know if I'm an outdoorsy person because as soon as I see a bug, and particularly a wasp or a bee, I'm out of
Mhm.
there.
But
But
you go to the beach, right?
yes, I like the beach. I do.
That's outdoors. You see what? See, I just had this conversation with you. If you go to the beach, guys, that is outdoors. Like,
Yeah.
so there's a thing where for some reason people, when they think of the outdoors, they only think of the woods.
Yep.
But like if you're going to the beach, you're going to the mountains, like you go skiing, these are all outdoor activities. You
Do
go
we
jet
ski?
skiing.
Do we ski?
Do we? Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, there is an all black team. The first all black team of um is going to go trek Everest. I
Oh,
just saw a story on that. So
okay.
we are skiing, we are trekking, we are surfing.
Hmm.
That's why Outdoorsy Black Women is so important, because we do these things, but without that representation to see ourselves doing it, not only will we miss out on the opportunities to try those things for ourselves, but the continued lie that the outdoors is not for us
Hmm.
will just be continuously like that'll be the trope that just continues to go on. So some of the first park rangers were black.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
You
something for
educated
Black
me.
history,
You
something for Black.
educated me.
So I just think it's important that we claim our space in the outdoors. I think a lot about how these are things that we've done historically anyway. You
Mm,
know what I mean? And they were deemed primitive,
mm.
you know, or savage. But then now it becomes a thing where it's cool to do, just not for us, even though we were doing it already.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how would you describe being a Renaissance woman?
Oh. They're like, hasn't she? No, okay. I think it's just, man. So yeah, I describe myself as a modern day Renaissance woman because I can, I have the ability to do anything that I put my mind to,
You better
and
say that.
yeah, I have the ability to do anything I could put my mind to, and even more of a blessing, I can execute it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you can have ideas, you can have goals, but execution is real. I remember when I texted my girlfriends in the group chat, and I was like, I'm gonna start a social network. They're like, okay, girl, just tell us when you just send us the link when you get it up and running, because they know me. If I say I'm gonna do something, I do it. So, from writing a cookbook, I wrote a cookbook called The Pocket Sous Chef, to running Your Life After 25, to now having Outdoorsy Black Women, a social network for Black women.
Mm-hmm.
I think that qualifies me to be a modern day Renaissance woman.
I do too. I do too. Okay. So here at Transparency, we like to, of course, highlight all the wonderful things that you're doing, but we also know getting to become an entrepreneur, there are struggles along the way.
Oh
You do
Lord,
get
yes.
snags. And a lot of people, when they hit these snags, typically they give up. And so they never stay committed to do it. Tell us about your struggles becoming an entrepreneur and how you rose to the occasion to keep going.
All right. Well, so okay, I will definitely dig in with Outdoorsy Black Women, because I think that's a different kind of brand. One, when you get into being a niche business, that already makes it 10 times harder. And
Mhm.
then when you're doing something specifically for Black people, it makes it 1,000 times harder. So we just celebrated a year of launching, which has been a blessing. The first year of business, any entrepreneur would tell you, that's usually one of the toughest years. Um, I would say some of the struggles with Outdoorsy Black Women specifically have been the constant push to make it so it's not just for Black women.
Mhm.
People have told me it'll be easier if you make it for Black women or Black people of color. Or have you thought about not being just for Black women, or not just for Black people? So that becomes a constant struggle in letting people know that no, I'm not budging on that. We
Okay.
deserve to have our space, and whoever it's for will be there, is one thing. And I think when you're going into business, you have to know what your business stands for and what you stand for as an entrepreneur, and not be willing to budge on that. Also, everything that I'm doing right now is self-funded, so that has been an obstacle,
Yeah.
but I'm still here. So with that comes like there's always a constant push for people to say, why don't you go the nonprofit route? But when you go into nonprofits, you can often lose a say in how your business is run, because now you have a board that you have to answer to. And one of the things that comes with that is, again, the push from it being for Black women. So in order to make sure that the vision of what Outdoorsy Black Women stands for, I just got to keep tracking. And, this year I definitely hope that sponsors will take notice. They are taking notice, I'll actually say. I hope that sponsorships come into play. I'm calling on them, just putting it out in the universe.
Right.
I am ready for more sponsorship and more support, and just having us spread the word about it so that people know that we out here.
Okay. So on your site, you talked about this already. You do have a book club. So how does your book club work? Do you pick a book and y'all figure out a time to discuss it, or how does that work?
So the book club, we're going to be reading one book per month that is written by a Black woman.
Okay.
And it'll be different kinds of Black women, because I think that's another thing. Like, it's Black women from everywhere. So you got Afro Latinas, you have Afro Asians, you know what I mean? So we'll highlight Black women all over. The way the book club works is there are discussion questions that are in the forum section that are listed each week as the written component of the discussions. It's very laid back because everybody has jobs and stuff. So I didn't want anything overwhelming, but also twice a month to give us that vocal connection and that ability to talk to each other. We're doing Twitter spaces to have a Twitter space discussion. So actually on February 9th, tomorrow, Wednesday, we have our first Twitter space discussion, which we're covering all about love by bell hooks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I need to go ahead and submit my book to you guys.
Yes.
Because it is called Fear of Failure, Fear of Not Trying. So if someone wants to submit their book, how do they do that?
Yeah, you can actually just go through the contact form on the site at Outdoorsy Black Women. There is a contact page, and let us know that you want to submit your book. We're definitely taking book submissions. There's also a book suggestion form in the forum discussions. So anybody who's a member can come in and say, hey, can we try reading this book? And we'll definitely keep it under consideration.
Okay, cool. So with Outdoorsy Black Women, you have events, or you're starting events, or?
Yes. I'm excited. I'm so excited. So we are doing monthly hikes that start in Atlanta right now. The goal is actually to have chapters throughout the United States. So we're starting with Atlanta because why not, right?
Right.
But we are starting our monthly hike. The first one is going to be on March 12th. And you can register for that. There's an events page on Outdoorsy Black Women, so you can go and register there for any of the events.
Okay.
There are, on the events page, there's our events, the Outdoorsy Black Women official events, as well as events that members submit. So if you have any events that are going to be a great event for Black women to be at, please feel free to add that to the events page. And then on April 23rd, we have a plant and sip that is going to be taking place to celebrate Earth Day.
Okay.
So, and we do have some camp outs and glamp outs coming too. So, definitely a full calendar that we're working on.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna make sure that I sign up. Like I said, I'm not really a camper or an outdoorser person per se, except at the beach. And even then, I'm only there to take pictures.
That's all right.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to sign up because I am here in Atlanta, and it would be nice to connect with some other women and walk and talk and sip and do everything else. So I will definitely make sure that I sign up. So,
well, I'll tell you this, because there is something, and I'm just gonna put it out there. We do have an event coming up in July.
Okay.
Called Twerking Trails. So
when I tell you I do not know how to twerk. It's
So that
wonderful.
is going to be coming, and I'm really excited about it because, again, I get to highlight another uh, Black-owned business, um, Work It Girl Fitness. She's great, and she's in Atlanta, and I've worked with her before on twerk fitness classes and pole dancing classes, so I figured why not bring them together.
Yeah, that's cute. I'm definitely gonna come to that one so I can learn how to
See, that's what I'm saying. So she gonna be teaching a little twerk, and then we gonna do a little bit of trail stuff, you know. So
That is so wait a minute. You're gonna be walking up the trails and everybody just hammer time, then you just
we
start
got
dancing.
something coming for y'all. We got something coming for y'all. It's gonna be dope though. I'm excited.
Okay, so 2 more questions for you. So with COVID, of course,
Mhm.
everybody knows how it negatively impacted so many families and businesses and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that. How did it positively impact your business?
Oh man. First of all, I just want to say, to anybody who's been affected by COVID negatively, my heart goes out to you. My brother's a nurse, and I have a lot of friends who work in the healthcare industry, and so
Mm.
I know it's been a toll for everybody all around. With that said, I think with everybody being trapped inside at a certain point, um, the call to get back outdoors actually
Mm.
has really been big for a lot of people. So for outdoorsy Black women, I guess the timing is pretty spot on. Just because a lot of more people seem to be wanting to connect with the outdoors and healing themselves through nature and things like that. And there are more people buying RVs, more Black people buying RVs, and I love it. Every time I see another Black RVer or a Black van lifer, it's really exciting. So I think in that context, you know, that's probably the most positive thing from my business that has come from COVID.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how can people get in contact with you?
All right. Well, the best way is, of course, go to outdoorsyblackwomen.com. My at name on there is at Toyin, so you can add me as a connect. And there's also an app. The site is free. It's free to join outdoorsyblackwomen.com, and the app is available on for iOS and Android, and it's free in the app stores. We are on social media also at Outdoorsy Black Women. So Instagram, Facebook, all of it at Outdoorsy Black Women, except for Twitter, because Twitter won't let me put my whole long name.
Yeah,
So it's
too long.
Outdoorsy BW. But other than that, I think the best place is to reach me at outdoorsyblackwomen.com.
Okay. Well, I would like to thank you so much for being a part of Transparency Talks podcast. I definitely learned a lot from you, and I will be signing up and connecting with you for sure.
Thank you. I
Okay,
appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
not a problem. And with that, everybody, we will talk to you guys later.
Bye.